It's hump day here on UCY, and you know what that means. You got to put up with me for 2 hours. And, lost Lance. Had a little hiccup on UCY right as I was getting ready to go on air, and it dumped my call. I had to call it back, so we'll see if we can't get Lance to pick up here in just a minute. I'm sure he's either listening in the background or something. He'll figure it out. He's a big boy. But anyway, as you all know, I am your host, Jim Funke. This is Boiler Room Radio, and we will be live for the next 2 hours. And until I get Lance back, I'm going to go ahead and take off with Smoke'em's Market Minute second half, and we'll go ahead and get our videos out of the way here. So let me jump over to the YouTube page and grab up my subscriptions. God, I tell you guys again, I hate this new YouTube layout. I can't stand it. I got so used to jumping over to the left and scrolling through my subscriptions and doing what I wanted to do, and it's a big pain in the butt now. You got to dig and dig and dig and dig. At least everything's still in alphabetical order, so it makes it kind of easy to find. And Scott had a really good report today, too, so we'll go ahead and let him do his 2 minutes.
Scott Nissel Hyper Report. Here are quotes for various items. First, terrifying hyperinflation. If Richard Russell is correct, we should shortly see new highs in various stock market indices and a further parade of record prices for tangibles at auctions and in the news. Also, if hyperinflation is in our future, then gold and silver are dirt cheap today. He goes on to say that the prices of everything will be rising until at some point hyperinflation finally takes over. Next, successful and dead. It seems to be a trend nowadays. Bankers dropping like flies. Former National Bank of Commerce CEO James Stewart Jr. was found dead in Scottsdale, Arizona. This brings the total number of reported banker deaths in recent weeks to 9. Next, housing market blown down. And the big bad wolf huffed and he puffed, and it was not him that caused the housing market to plummet by 16% in January compared to December, the biggest drop since February 2011. Don't believe the weather chatter. It is a systemic problem that isn't going to move on with the polar vortex. Next, agents infiltrate websites. Government agents infiltrating websites was the hallmark of conspiracy theories until Edward Snowden. Now, released classified documents by Ed Snowden detail how NSA agents infiltrate, disrupt, and discredit those who speak out against government tyranny. Please take some time to review this informative classified presentation at Zero Hedge. Next, Apple flaw? Apple executives have announced that there was a bug in their operating system. However, after recent revelations by Edward Snowden, cybersecurity experts are openly asking if the so-called flaw was in fact an NSA backdoor to Apple's victims or clients. Those at Apple are finding out that trust is easy to lose but nearly impossible to regain. Next, 20 tips to get through an economic meltdown. Here are a few without going into detail. 1. Become self-entertaining. 2. Use what you have. 3. Recognize that frugal is not a dirty word. 4. Be a nice person. 5. Prepare your mindset. Next, surviving martial law. Without going into detail, here are a few points to remember to survive martial law. 1. Nobody that represents any form of authority, past or present, should be trusted. 2. When the military drops by, hide your contempt. 3. Make sure you turn up for any food and or water handouts. 4. Consider alternative means of communications. Perhaps even using smoke signals using soon-to-be worthless dollar bills as tinder. Finally, please prepare now for the escalating economic and social unrest. Good day.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate you. I don't know what's going on with Lance. I just tried to add him into the call, and he tells me it's not working. He's not seeing it come up on his screen. So evidently, something's going on with Skype. That makes me upset. I like talking with Lance. I know you guys like talking with Lance too. He's part of the show now. He's like my right hand. Well, my left hand. He's kind of weird. He's all right though. So I don't know what's going on. I just tried to add him into the call, and it won't let me add him into the call. And I don't really want to dump this call and try to restart everything over because, we're kind of getting along really good right now. And I don't like dead air on UCY. Sounds bad. I'm going to try to add him in one more time. If not, maybe we can get him to call in. What a pain in the ass. I don't like hiccups in my show. Everything goes really good. I've been doing this over a year now. Don't like it. I'll tell you what I am going to do really quick, just to make sure that in case something doesn't go right with the add in here. Did I get you? No, I ain't got him yet. I'm going to open the phones up, and anybody else who wants to call in, talk for the next 2 hours, that's the way this Wednesday night show goes usually. 718-717-8296. Phones are open. I just set them to open. Don't really know what kind of direction we're going to go in tonight. I know I want to dedicate a little bit of this show to Bill Hicks. Today marks 20 years that he's been gone from us. And I didn't really find him until, a couple of years ago. Wished I'd have seen him when he was live. Very salient comic. Brought a lot of people into the know. So, going to definitely play a clip or two. And I know that there's a new Moment of Clarity out. I passed it around on Facebook earlier today. So I'm probably going to play that too a little bit later. For right now, yeah, that's what I think I'm going to do, Jules. Just go ahead and call in, Lance, if you want to. 718-717-8296. You know the number, brother. Just go ahead and give me a call on your Skype there. I think you can do outbound calls on your Skype. I hope so. So, we're going to go ahead and take off, and I'm going to go over here and grab Greg Manarino, and we'll let him talk while we're getting everything un-effed on the network. I told Lance to call in, so he should be calling in. Manarino had a pretty good. Uh-oh, I hear noise. Is that you, Lance?
I'm on my mobile trying to get my computer. I don't know, man. That's the weirdest thing I've seen in a while.
Oh, so you could add in on the call on your mobile, but you couldn't add in on the call.
And I couldn't before. I just had to restart it too. So very interesting.
Shnikes. Is there a van down the street?
I was looking out the window for it. The only one on the router things is mine. It says van number 5.
You see anything circling overhead? I mean, you might be getting droned tonight.
No, this would be up so high anyway.
Yeah. That directed energy technology is kind of long distance stuff too. So, all right, man. Well, since you're on the horn now, finally, we'll go ahead and let you dive into Smoke'em's Market Minute. Well, I got to say hi to you first, man. I haven't even had a chance to say. See, you got me all undiscombobulated.
Yeah, well, and it'll give me a minute to pull up the all the sites that I had up for my thing too. So
right on.
I'll wait. But yeah, freezing cold today. I don't know how it was there, but it was.
Oh, it's pretty chilly here too. It got down into the teens last night, and it's going to do it again tonight. Get down to around 20. Mm-hmm. So yeah, one more blast of the polar vortex. You Canadians can have that shit back anytime now.
Yeah, because they look at us laughing, going, "What's the big deal? I mean, we get this every year."
Yeah, you can keep it.
And didn't I see Alaska, where you were from, that time? They experienced their coldest winter wind chill ever. Didn't I see that?
Yeah, that was way up around Greeley. Mm-hmm. That was way up north yonder in the Yukon. But yeah, that was, 97 degrees below zero, 42 below before the wind chill.
That's just
actual mean temperature outside was 42 below zero. That's like, take a breath, freeze your lungs. Kind of cold. Yeah. Don't even think about going outside kind of cold. That's scary. That's scary shit. So, and in other parts of Alaska, down around Anchorage and stuff, they're experiencing the warmest summer or winter that they've had in, probably
we saw
15 years or so. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. You can see grass in parts of Anchorage out on the sidewalks. There's like no snow, just freak weather.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, geoengineering. Appreciate it.
Yeah, right.
All your chemtrailing and shit. So, okay. Are you all, ready to go?
Almost
okay.
there.
You want me to play Manarino and let you get, all your stuff in one sock?
Mm-hmm. No, I'll go ahead and do it here.
All right.
And he'll probably touch on some of the stuff. The market was, half of it was up, half of it was down. You saw the, mortgage-backed stuff was really not reacting to any news in the market. It was just kind of performing okay.
Mm.
Totally ignoring the housing market and everything else.
Yeah, it's like bad news, bad news, bad news. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very extremely bad news, and no rhyme or reason to it. Couple of the weirder stories. Hold on a second. Couple of the weirder stories that I came across today was Chase revamping their cash deposit rules. Did you read about this one?
No, I did. I saw a blurb go across my screen, but I was kind of busy doing some other stuff today. Had somebody come by and measure some windows and stuff, so I didn't get a chance to hit on that. But yeah, I saw the tick go by. So go ahead.
Well, and what it is they're trying to close any loopholes for money laundering, is what they're telling anybody.
Right. And
this was even on Fox Business.
They'd have been tits also up if they hadn't been laundering drug money from the cartels. Come on.
Well, and they also had a $2 billion settlement last week, remember, over the lax standards related to that Madoff Ponzi scheme. So yeah, they're trying to close any loopholes they can and at least pretend that they're trying to be good boys. Next week, it started February 1st, but it'll be fully effective, strictly enforced on March 3rd. You now need to show an ID to make a cash deposit on an account. And if you're not on the account, you can't make a cash deposit.
Wow.
Now so
grandma can't throw you $100 at Christmas time. She got to write a check or swipe her card. Yeah. She can't just toss you a C note in your stocking.
You're exactly correct. Or a parent, for a kid that's away at college, can't walk into their, nationwide bank here and say, want to deposit a couple $100 so my son, daughter can pay their car payment or whatever.
Right. Write me a check.
Write me a check.
We can wire it out of your other account, but we can't take cash. Sorry.
Yeah, and I didn't even believe the story until I read it a couple places.
Because cash is no good.
Well, we already know that.
Fiat currency. It's just
it's all a fiat currency. And
what did we see last year? I think we touched on this either Monday or last week. The cat out in Southern California tried to go into Chase, I think, and pay his mortgage with cash. Oh yeah, BOA. Yep. And tried to pay his mortgage in cash and was filming it, put it up on YouTube, and they refused his money. Anyway, go ahead.
That's maddening too. Even though under, you can't deposit more than $10,000 in cash anyway without having to fill out a form and
withdraw. You can deposit, you can't withdraw.
No, you can't deposit.
You can't deposit $10,000 in cash in your account?
Not without it being reported to the IRS. You can deposit it, but the bank is required by law because of the Bank Secrecy Act of 1970.
For Christ.
Banks must report cash transaction exceeding $10,000, and you can't go deposit $8,999 or $9,999 every day for a week and not get reported either, because then they know you're trying to circumvent the rules.
Well, what about 5K for half a year?
I think once you reach the 10K, I think you would be running into the gray territory.
Yeah.
I think he's got the meth.
What's interesting about the bank, the ID thing is pissing off depositors.
Mm-hmm. What are all the Mexicans going to do?
Oh, that's a good point. Well, not go to Chase, that's for sure. But they warn that the top 10 banks could lose a combined $92 billion in deposits over customer frustrations this year at Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, and Citi. Absolutely. So and you would think they'd be pulling it out and then going to your local, bank, your corner bank, whatever the name of yours is out there, Friendly Bank or whatever.
Yeah, all the cartels are going to start banking with ABC, or Main Street Bank and Trust, or some credit union somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, hey,
You not like my Coke money? I'd take it somewhere else. Say hello to my little friend.
Sorry, go ahead.
And that story is kind of like number 11 on this list here. There's 10 signs that reveal mounting panic in the banking system.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. banks are fearing a default stock up on cash. In October 3rd, the Financial Times reported that the banks are looking for a possible banking panic, and they need to have 20 or 30% more cash than usual, was what that was from.
Bail in.
It's coming.
That's coming, dude. I'm telling you. We've been talking about it for how long now?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no doubt.
When they start waving the white flag and saying, hey, Fed, we're looking at insolvency, the Fed's going to say, tough titty, take your deposits. We're not printing you no morning. All that money's for us.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
We got to build F-35s and shit.
Yeah, because that's the one they kept. They got rid of the 10 or whatever it was, the A-10, the Air Force version of the A-10 or something.
Right. Oh, they kept the fighter that gets struck by lightning and explodes in midair. That's the one they kept. Yeah. The one that has, that feeds, rancid oxygen to the pilots and makes them pass out.
That's it.
That's it. That's the one they kept. Yeah. Oh, that's the one we want. Let's spend hundreds of billions on that one. Not the one that works. Go ahead. We're digressing.
It's maddening. Food stamp malfunction. That's a banking crisis still. The computer glitch that wiped out ATMs and online banking, which was in Alabama, Arizona, California, at Wells Fargo, Chase, B of A, Compass, Chase. That was in November 2nd through the 8th of last year. November 17th, JP Morgan halted all international wire transfers, if you remember that one.
Mm-hmm.
January 16th, reports from Hong Kong indicate that another HSBC scandal, an $80 billion capitalization shortfall, that one's coming.
Whoops.
January 24th, HSBC imposed restrictions on cash withdrawals in Britain. We did a story on that one.
Yep.
China's banking problems are severely escalating. One of their big four banks, there's a good chance that they're going to go bust, from what these stories are saying.
Gee, I wonder if that's a Rothschild owned.
January 28th.
There ain't nothing in China owned by that.
Nothing.
No, that's all state run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
January 28th, one of Russia's.
They'll put some of those nets around the outside of the building. No problem.
And keep them away.
Right.
It's January 28th, one of Russia's top 200 lenders, my bank, introduced a 1-week complete ban on cash withdrawals. That was just past month. February 17th, Chase imposes new capital controls on cash deposits. We just did that story.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't not hear this one yet, but February 20th, the Royal Bank of Scotland, RBS, announced layoffs of 30,000 employees in the coming months.
Oh, how many is Morgan laying off? 22,000? 27,000?
27,000.
Yeah, everybody in JP Morgan that was working mortgages, like Lance brother does here, not from JP Morgan, but somebody else.
No.
They're all shit canned as of 1st of March. Yeah, something like that. 27,000 people. Wonder what that's going to do to the unemployment rolls. I think I'll be able to stay at 6.7.
So the question is how any sane person would risk any of their hard-earned money by leaving it in one of these financial institutions.
Or in the stock market, for Christ's sake. Get it out.
It's harder to get out of the stock market, especially if you're in a 401k, and I'm sure the listeners know that if they've tried to close out their 401k.
Well, yeah, but come on, we said that. I mean, you guys got to do some legwork. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. You can transfer. I'm pretty sure. You're going to have to verify all this stuff. This is just what I think from what I read. You can transfer your 401k wherever it's at now into a gold-backed, precious metal-backed 401k, IRA, whatever, with no penalty. Once you get that in your hand, call it in. Tell them you want to change it over to physical.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you can do that. That would be all on your, I mean, it's set up for the rich to get richer and us to,
yeah, but there's ways you can get through.
Rich.
I mean, there's ways you can do it. If you know how you're doing your business, you can do it. Look, Manarino didn't come from nobody, right?
No, but he's not dealing with a 401k either, because I actually asked my friend who's a financial advisor, I said, man, how do I get it out? And he said, well, it's
ask him about
depending
that
on your plan. I will actually. I'm having lunch with him tomorrow. I'll ask him about that.
Write yourself a sticky note.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll put that in there.
Cover that on Friday, y'all. I'll have an answer for you Friday, or Lance will have an answer for you Friday, whether or not I'm bullshitting you.
Yeah, but I like that. I like the theory, that's for sure.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, because I had a little bit of, I went back and forth with the Ed Jones guy a couple times, and, I postulated that to him too, and he's like, well, that sounds doable. So, just saying. Anyway, moving on.
And now that kind of wraps up my weird, odd stories. We don't have another banker death per se. I've heard of a couple other reports. Yeah, there's 9 of them now, which one happened a couple hours, or the story broke a couple hours before the last show on Monday.
Right. That's the one Scott covered today.
Correct. So there's more, but I don't think that we know about them yet.
Right.
And still, you just got to wonder, are they getting out themselves or are they being shut up? Because something's extremely hokey pokey with that one.
Yes. Hokey pokey. That's a good, I'm going to have to write that down. Hokey pokey. We got to do anything with our feet?
Yeah.
Shake it all about.
Okay. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So we're going to play Manarino. This is he's calling it a red alert video. I gave it a listen earlier today. I thought it was pretty salient. If he gets to the point where he's making nonsensical shit, then we'll cut it off like we usually do. So here's Greg.
And if you hear anything, I'm trying.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Greg Manarino. How are you today?
No, right on.
It is Wednesday, February 26th, 2014.
He must have made money today. He's in a lavender shirt.
People, before I even get started here, I am going to ask you for a favor. That is this.
Click on my head.
Get as many people as you can to watch this video.
Click on my head.
I'm going to go over some very important things. People, unless you are blind, you cannot miss what is going on right before your eyes. Let's talk about that. So in the market today, we had the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ all eke out fractional gains. Meanwhile, the transports are trying to lead this market lower. We got 2 significant economic reports today. If you were to go to CNBC.com, you'll see them. The first one talks about how home sales have soared like 9.6% or something like that. And the one just underneath that speaks about how mortgage applications are at a 2-decade low. There are many people already out there debunking this government number regarding home sales. They're painting the tape.
Can you pause it right there?
And they're doing this on purpose.
Oh, shit, yeah,
Understand, this whole thing is about perception.
Okay.
I will say, in the defense of mortgage applications here.
You sound much better, by the way.
Thank you. I sent an email out yesterday. Actually, I got it yesterday from my boss. He had sent it out to the whole company. Our applications year to date are actually higher than the what's historically that we've ever been at this point of the year. I didn't know what to say.
That's not actual buys, right? That's not actual approvals. That's just applications. That's people looking for home. Correct? that are applied for a home.
Yes, technically.
So that's not actual purchases, because I think purchases are actually down. Home sales are down.
Well, it ties into applications, because that was what he just said on the thing, that number of applications were down, because we consider it applications.
Well, maybe he's talking about nationwide average.
Yeah. But go ahead and finish playing them.
All right.
It is not about reality. This market, people, the title of this video says it all.
Run.
Now, let's look at some other elements of what is going on right now. It's very important, really. You got to pay attention to these things, or people are going to get absolutely destroyed. Now, I'm not just talking about it on a financial level. People, I can't stress this enough, and I'm going to say it again. The issue that we have on a global level is all about the debt. The debt problem is, without any doubt, the greatest threat to the human race. And I've gone over why. It's a very simple concept.
Worldwide
I'm going
debt.
to outline it again here.
Not just U.S.
By
debt.
borrowing and stealing and pulling monies from the future to live a better now, the only way to put it is this. We've created an alternate universe that would not exist had we not had availability to those funds. It's about resources. When the debt bubble bursts, and we are damn close to it, those resources are going to become scarce, and millions of people on a global level are going to lose their lives. Let's talk about something else that's going on here. We have this social unrest that is sweeping the globe.
People.
We find out that the Obama administration is going to trying to send $1 billion over to the Ukrainian government to help support them. What does Putin do? Putin puts his military on high alert. Let's go over a few other things, because this is going to change the landscape of everything. The United States, under this president, Barack Obama, has lost all credibility. We find out that he's shrinking the size of the U.S. military to pre-World War II era sizes. Meanwhile, China is arming themselves to the teeth. Putin, same thing, puts his army on high alert. Let me go over something else that President Obama has done. In order to keep the nanny state going,
out of the park right now, man.
He has cut benefits for veterans and their families. This is insane, and it is something that is so disgusting.
He's creating
and
turmoil
dastardly
inside this country
that I cannot believe that the American people are allowing this to go on. It just shows you the sheep-like, dumbed-down state that people are in. I've gone over this. The zombie apocalypse is real. Your neighbors are more than likely blind to everything that's going on. They don't see what's happening. They don't see the farce that's being put over their eyes. Again, so if you include the economic reports that we have today, this nonsensical number regarding home sales, that would be no less than 10 bad economic rounds that have been fired at this market. Now, this market, let's go back to it real quick. So we have a market that is trying to still push up higher, but we have what's called negative divergences all over the place. If you're not familiar with what a negative divergence is from a technical standpoint, look it up, people. It's really important to do your own homework about these things. So what do we have here?
I'm going to stop that for a minute, and I'm going to let you explain that. Do you know what a negative divergence is, Lance? Can you layman's term that out for us?
Nope.
Okie dokie. On we go then.
We have economic numbers that are not real. They're painting the tape to keep people's perception in check. Okay? There's no real recovery in this country. We have a president that is stealing benefits from our veterans to keep the nanny state going at your expense. We have this Obamacare that's going to wipe out jobs across the spectrum. Everyone knows it, but no one's doing anything about it. I've spoken about it. I've done interviews about it. We have our country that has fallen off from being any type of a leader of the world under this administration. We have an administration under this president shrinking our military at a time when the world is arming themselves to the teeth. Let me just say this for those of you that don't know. I have a real connection to the veterans that have served our country. These people, these men and women in uniform, think about it, okay? Sit back for a moment. All of them are willing to lay down their life for yours. For yours. Meanwhile, our president's cutting their benefits to support the nanny state by taxing you and stealing monies again from the future from your children. My connections to these veterans is relatively deep. I myself served in the United States Navy. This is a copy of my honorable discharge.
Yep.
I was an officer in the United States Navy Reserve.
No.
I love every single
reservist.
one of you veterans out there.
Still got to go through
And
basic
I
and
am
everything.
sorry
Props.
for what is happening to you under this president. People, I'm urging every single one of you to let your voice be heard starting today regarding that issue. Regarding
Greg.
the issue with the
Greg.
stock market, people,
No kidding.
run. Don't walk away from this market. This market is on the precipice, people, of a major event, in my opinion. Again, none of this is written in stone. But I believe the probability continues to rise here that we are going to have a financial event that is going to impact you directly, right in your pocketbook. If you have a 401k plan, you're being set up. You are a pawn in this game. And as the U.S., our country, loses credibility on a global level, when we see other countries of the world trying to overthrow the U.S. dollar, that's going to steal your purchasing power. The U.S. dollar is all but done, people. And that's
It's
a fact.
done.
People, if you think this video has been important, if you think people need to hear this, please share this video.
I
It's
tweeted this
critical.
one out,
We
man.
need to get people to understand what's going on. And I'm urging you, on behalf of every single one of our veterans who is willing to lay their lives down for you, that you let your voice be heard today. That's it. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Thumbs up on that one, Greg Manarino.
That's actually one of the best ones I think I've ever heard him do.
You knocked that one out of the park, brother. You absolutely knocked that one out of the park. That was a dynamic video. I tweeted that out like I just said. So it's going to be all over my Facebook paste, my wall, whatever. It's going to be tweeted out.
Yeah, and we'll just
Game of
talk
Thrones
on
stuff.
that for a moment because both of us are Army veterans.
Yep.
But yeah, when these people would lay down their line, I mean, I cringe when I see any young person going in for patriotic reasons and they're going in for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The commissaries are really a big one. That's where these retirees and stuff are going to take a hit.
Bad.
Really bad. They're not going to close
And
them.
they're taking some of their COLA money away from them too. They're up in their
They are
housing.
COLA is cost of living allowance. They're axing $1 billion from subsidies from the commissaries, and that's going to cost a typical family $3,000 a year more in groceries that they normally wouldn't spend because they've been shopping at the commissary.
Right.
But how many, I put this post earlier. How does the government has an unlimited budget, or not government, the Department of Defense has an unlimited budget for war, for weapons, for missiles. I just don't understand it.
Me neither.
And they're going to
they can-
cap military pay raises at 1%, where it's usually at 3%. At 1%, you can't even keep up with close to keeping up with inflation at 1%.
What do you think those hellfires cost that they're killing all these wedding parties with over in Afghanistan and shit? What do you think those hellfires cost? Those are about 15 or 20 grand a piece.
Yeah.
And they're just launching the shit out of them. What do you think those drones cost, for Christ's sake? They're crashing those things all over the place. They got to replace them. That one that we saw the video about a week or two ago, that crashed over in Iraq. All the kids were throwing stones at it and shit.
Yeah,
that was
Predator.
a full-size Predator, man. That thing's like, I don't know, 30 million?
Yeah, it's pretty high.
Ridiculous.
It is. They're the TRICARE, they're making them more copays. They're only going to issue generic drugs, which I don't have a problem with that personally, if they're going to go big pharma, I mean, go generic. But it's not good for retirees.
No.
You can't go into the military thinking that you're going to be secure for the rest of your life like you did when we went in.
No. You're going to get, You're going to get drugged up when you go in there. They're going to send you over to a battle zone, and they're going to force feed you all kinds of medications and stuff. They're going to vaccinate the crap out of you as soon as you go to get on the plane. We heard, I passed you that video the other day, Charlie McGrath.
I turned my friend,
I
turned my friend onto him because he suffers from the same things. When they went over there,
Gulf War syndrome, yeah.
It was a black cloud everywhere, and they just gave them bandanas. I mean, that's all they had is during the first Gulf War was bandanas. And I put him in contact with him. I said, man, you need to get in touch with this guy. He can tell you how to get your claims done.
Yeah, and he's trying to help out everybody. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Wide Awake News or Charlie.
I wasn't. I had never heard of him before.
He works with Blacklisted, and they do a lot of good stuff over there. And my heart goes out to him with everything that he's suffering through, because it's affecting his family life now. And the way that he's keeping a positive attitude and keeping himself going is amazing. You know, he's got so much guts, you know. I don't know. There's a lot of people in his position that curl up in a corner and give up.
We have a major VA hospital right here in Hampton. It's one of the largest ones on the East Coast.
I can't give any thumbs up to the VA, not from what I've seen of them. Maybe you can. Maybe you've seen different. But the one over in Danville, the VA hospital over in Danville, Illinois, the one that I've seen up close and personal, is a disgrace to this country.
I mean, it is. If you remember the Walter Reed investigation they did, they had bed bugs in them and everything. It was awful.
That's just disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't care about the veterans anymore.
No.
And people need to know that and not be disillusioned going in. I got my half nephew or whatever joining the Air Force, getting ready to go to basic this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, I couldn't talk him out of it. Because, you know, my dad's 25 years Air Force. I was a veteran. His dad was a veteran. It's not what it used to be.
Oh, by the way, people, I looked up negative divergence.
I did too.
It's when the market shows a higher high than the indicators indicate. Spreading wedge, I think, is what Manarino called it.
Yeah, the cost of it's going up, but the chart isn't going up as fast as the cost is going up.
Right. Negative divergence.
And there's been those warnings about the first week of March being a banking flag, if you will, to look for.
Mm-hmm.
So it could happen at any time.
Nasty.
Mm-hmm.
We've been saying it for a while, though, you know. Something's coming, and it never shows up. I mean, we hit on things every week, though. This is an indicator. This is an indicator. This is an indicator. I don't know, you know, at this point, I'm kind of throwing my hands up in the air. I can't make a prediction. You know, how are we going to hit a new high on the market before it happens? Are they going to go to 17,000? Or are we going to, you know, is Manarino dead on the money and before the end of next week it's going to drop to 12?
If they're going to stick with the old playbook of their theory of wars pulling us out of depressions and stuff like that.
We're jumping into Ukraine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think people really understand the forces that are at play in the Ukraine. Olga's actually dropped a lot of knowledge on me on this Ukrainian stuff.
You think that she'd call in tonight?
She can't now.
I'd like to get her opinion. Well, maybe Friday. Hit her up with that tomorrow.
She can, because she talks to those people every day. She was getting
I want to get her opinion.
She was getting live footage before it was even out on, you know, people or friends of hers were in that square filming with their phones and sending it to her.
Yeah, Olga is a friend of Lance's, and I'm not going to give her last name, but she is from the Ukraine, and she's only been over here in the States for how long? I mean, just a few years, yeah?
Yeah, but 6 years.
6 years. So, yeah, she's fully vested in what's happening over there, man. I mean, her whole family is still over there mostly.
Yep.
So it's that's got to be kind of unnerving for her. And I'd really like to get her on. Yeah. Hit her up with that tomorrow and see if she's willing to come on and, you know.
I will. I think she would do it.
We'll give her the whole, you know, after the market minute's over with, we'll dive right into it and give her the rest of the show, 45 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, she would, I think she would do that. It's,
outstanding.
It's interesting that, you know, how important that's going to turn out to be, I think.
It's,
Syria's not even on the radar anymore. It's kind of, Ukraine's taken over.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking, you know, when they caught the CIA cat over there working with the, I don't know if you want to call them rebels or just, you know, I mean, he was working against the government. He was working with the people that were wanting to overthrow. And, you got to know some of those weapons that they're starting to brandish over there. Some of the, techniques that they're using for launching the Molotov cocktails. You know, they all of a sudden they came out with trebuchets and, you know, big long pieces of I don't want to say military grade, but industrial grade rubber, and they were making slingshots and throw, you know, I mean, just all of a sudden happened like somebody was over there that had that knowledge and said, hey, try this, do this, try this.
Did you see that they are trying to, rewrite their constitution to add in a second amendment like ours?
Yep.
Because they
don't ever want to be caught with their pants down again.
Because right now, all those rioters, remember, they were getting picked off by snipers.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have anything to fight back with. And this is proof on what happens when the public doesn't have weapons and the government is the only one that does. This is what happens.
Yeah. Why do you think they didn't start launching rounds at them right off the bat? Why do you think those cops were standing there taking all that shit?
Because they're
just throwing rocks.
They
got nothing. They got rocks.
Exactly.
Not
yep. And they used rubber bullets at first, and then obviously at one point switched to real bullets.
Oh, they broke into, but a lot of the rioters, I don't want to call them rioters, man, protesters. So I'm just going to call them protesters. A lot of protesters broke into one of the armories there and stole a couple of hundred guns and several thousand rounds of ammunition. So, you know, we're getting on a little bit more even footing, and things are getting ready to get even more ugly. They're burning that entire city of Kiev down, for Christ's sake, man. I mean, that used to be a beautiful, I don't know if anybody's ever been over there. I don't know if you made it over there, but I haven't been there personally, put my boots on the ground there, but I've seen some, fabulous photos from back in the day.
Well, the before and after photos of just this one square where they've been all rioting.
It's Maidan.
Yeah.
Just it's so sad.
I think you posted
a decade to try to recover from that shit.
Yeah, at least. I think the map that you posted or somebody else did, I understand now why it's so important to Putin to keep control, because every Russian pipeline,
that's what I posted on
Facebook. Russian pipeline, well, not every single, but there's like 12 or 15 of them that run from Russia straight through the Ukraine down to the Black Sea.
Yep.
And I think that's why the U.S. is fully involved in this at placing their puppet master.
Gazprom just got done building one of those. It's brand spanking new.
Yep. So now the real story is really coming out on, you know, why Putin really wants it. So I think this is going to be something to watch. I don't think it goes down.
You know, I'm not going to say that he wants it. He wants what the U.S. wants. Every country that we can to be on our side. He wants the Ukraine to be on his side, not the EU's.
He's trying to restore the Soviet bloc.
I don't know about that. I've seen that thrown around so much now on Facebook, and everybody's trying to call him the next Stalin and blah, 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 blah. I don't think
we got the next Stalin right here in our midst. What are you talking about?
He's a puppet, dude.
Well, they all are.
Somebody's hands so far up his ass. Yeah, and I'm starting to think that maybe Putin is too. I mean, he's got his own best interest in heart, but he's got the Russian best interest in heart too, and he knows that they're a big player now. Because just like Scott said in the Hyper Report, Barack Obama has no credibility anywhere on this planet. He has no credibility.
Zero.
When he talks, people just put their earplugs in. They just look at him and go, yap, yap, yap. We're a laughing stock with a great big bat. That's
deservedly
it.
so.
We're the bully on the block.
Yeah, we used to call ourselves the world's police, and I don't believe that. I think
we're a rogue cop.
We are
a bent badge.
And he's trying to rein us in a little bit.
Putin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're getting ready to get our hands smacked. And I don't think it's going to be militarily. I think it's going to lead to military. But I think they're going to smack our hand by devaluing our currency to zero on the world market. That's what I think is going to happen. I could be completely off on that, but that's what I think is going to happen. You know, with Soros doing the put on Wall Street, expecting the S&P to finish a goose egg, and I can't remember how long that's supposed to take. I think you had to go. I think somebody walked in the room.
No, I'm back. Yeah, my daughter did walk in the back door.
Right. But how long is that poot? How long? Poot.
The putt.
The put that Soros put out by the end of May?
I never did see a date on it.
No?
No.
I don't know. But he's expecting the S&P to finish at a goose egg.
Yes, he is.
A flat zero. That means a complete dive on Wall Street to zero and a bunch of bankers going out windows. You know, just like back in the 20s. 29, the crash, right? 29.
I mean, even the savings and loan scandals of the mid-'80s did the same thing.
Right? Where was all the deaths in 08? Because that's when the crash really happened. Well, yeah, I know, but still, they had to know that it was just a play. Because that's really, and we talked about this many, many times, everybody. That's when the crash happened. That's when this country ended.
But they
2008.
But they knew
everything's been prop up since then.
But they knew Big G was there to bail them out and that they wouldn't get in trouble over.
But how long is it going to last? They had to know. I mean, all the money that they started printing was not backed by squat. And if they were going to keep doing like they're still doing, the Fed, I know they've cut back, but it's still over $100 billion a year or a month buying mortgage-backed securities. They never stopped. Every one of those dollars, man, every one of those dollars devalues the one that you got in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Every one that the Fed prints every month. They just keep printing. I mean, they're not.
If anybody thinks that they've dropped at $20 billion per month, they really haven't. They
shifted it. They started spending it somewhere else, but they didn't stop making that money. They didn't stop typing them zeros into that computer. That's all it is. I mean, they're physically printing like a third of it, but the rest of it's all digital. It's not backed by shit. They're talking now, literally talking now about doing away with money and making it all on cards. Everybody's going to get issued their Fed card. Going to go to like a special drawing rights. You get X number of credits this year. When you're out, you're out.
Scary thought.
They're talking about it too. You know, hey, check this out. Next month, these dumbasses at DARPA and whoever else got in on this have actually made this RoboCop crap. Not literally the robot, but they've made the armor for these super soldiers. And you can bet your ass that as soon as it's field tested, they're going to start issuing that shit to every cop in this country. Now, I don't know if anybody's seen the video. I don't really have I think it was on a web page, actually. I don't think it's on YouTube. I don't know. It might be Pigmine. If it's out there, Pigmine's probably got it. So go check Pigmine 5 on YouTube. They got a guy standing there wearing this stuff and another dude with a steel pipe whacking the shit out of him. And it's not even phasing him. Yeah, it's not even phasing him. And the computer's steady. I mean, they show the computer in the foreground and them beating the crap out of this cat in the back. And the computer's showing every impact and where it goes. And it makes this armor hard in a nanosecond when it feels the impact. Otherwise, it's just kind of loose. They can move around in it really easy. They're claiming it can stop a 50. I'd like to see that. That's a lot of kinetic energy.
That'd be amazing. That's a big bullet.
That's a lot of kinetic energy, yeah. But that's what they're claiming. I don't think from point blank anything can stop a 50 except some serious steel or ceramic. But maybe from a mile away, it could probably lessen the impact. I bet you it's still going to knock you on your ass, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, you know, I mean, they're going to have all these pit bulls that they got protecting their money, these bankers' money, you know, kicking people out of their homes, arresting them for not taking back a library book, killing innocent people in front of their wife and daughter. They're going to have these kind of pit bulls in this super body armor. You better square away your scopes, folks, because you're going to have a limited area to hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's been some scary court cases. The Supreme Court just ruled that cops don't need a search warrant
to come in your home.
To come in your home.
Probable cause.
You've got what?
Just probable cause.
Yeah.
Probable cause.
And define probable cause. Just their corrupt mind. They think that something's going on.
I drove by and thought I saw something through the window.
That's all they got to say.
I was cruising down the street and smelled something strange. So I slowed down and determined that it was coming from that house over there. So I shot their dog. And then I kicked in their front door with 12 of my buddies.
You want my opinion on it? I believe that court case has come down like that.
And we caught the fuckers growing tomatoes in their basement.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, shot him because he was carrying a Wii remote.
Yeah. Oh my God, man.
But I think where this is going to really come into play is with that Connecticut. That letter that went out to all the people that didn't register their assault rifles.
Threatening them. Every citizen of that state.
Yep.
They threatened them with legal, violent action if they didn't register their quote unquote assault weapons.
Well, if you read the letter that I posted on my Facebook, it was a letter to somebody that registered after the register date, after the cutoff, and they sent them a letter back and said, we received your registration. However, it's late. You're out of compliance. You now have 4 choices. You know, make it inoperable, sell it to a legal gun dealer. So, I mean, that letter that's going around right now, getting viral. I mean, that's a letter where somebody did try to register after the deadline and they sent it back and said, nope, give it back to us because you missed the deadline.
What? This is what I posted on the things that I saw on Facebook about this. And I put it on a couple of different ones. And this is exactly how I feel. And if you don't like it, sorry. You know me, you know how I speak into my mic. Anyone that went to register their guns for that tyrannical government in that tyrannical state deserves what they get. They deserve what they get. If they've got their guns registered now and then all of a sudden one of those jackasses in their, state legislature decides that they're going to go ahead and round them up and those people get their doors kicked in, they deserve it. Anyone that continues to live in that state is a fool. regardless of what kind of ties you've got. When your government turns on you like that, man, vote with your feet. Look, 7 million people left the state of Illinois last year in 2013. I know because I was one of them. My mom was another one. And they're taking a hit. They're taking a hit. Their tax returns are going to be squat this year. The federal tax returns are going to be squat. Nobody's working in this goddamn country. Vote with your feet, people. Vote with your feet. Go somewhere that respects you as a human.
And where would that be? Here in this place, United States, where is that right now?
West of the Mississippi.
Mm.
That's where I'd want to be. That's where I am. Arkansas is not that bad, you know.
3 million people are going to move to Mountain Home next year.
Ain't that much room around here, y'all. But you know what I'm saying, right? You get the point that I'm trying to make, right, people? I'm not just blowing smoke.
I see this. How many people did it take to start the revolution? 72. And that's when they went and the British tried to take their guns away. And that's what started the actual revolution.
Mm-hmm.
72 people or 70. I can't remember how many it was, 30 or 70. This will be very interesting to see how this plays out in Connecticut, because I think, here's my theory, that it's just like Boston, where they tested out martial law to see if they could just bust into people's houses, pull them out, and get away with it. And they did. I think this is another Boston. And
I put that on one of the other ones too. The Oath Keeper's got a huge ass thread going about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on that thread I added, I feel for those poor dumb bastards when they go to do their job.
The cops, you mean, or the Fed, ATF?
Yeah. Whoever goes around and tries to round these up. Cause look, I think it was over 100,000 refused to register, right? They have some kind of count.
No, it was more than that. I thought only 3% registered.
Well, something, whatever. I mean, you know, it was a serious amount of people that did not register their weapons. Mm-hmm. More than they've got cops.
Mm-hmm.
So,
however,
you know, when they go, it's just not going to be good, man. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good.
If they were to go ever confiscate, they wouldn't go with 8 guys and a battering ram. They would show up in MRAPs just like they did in Boston, in force.
They got to get out of the goddamn thing sooner or later. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if a whole neighborhood goes down on a raid, sorry about the F word, people. It's not going to be, no, I actually said it a little bit ago too. It's not going to be good. You know, I mean, these people, why couldn't the government of that state get the hint when 100,000 of them or plus whatever didn't show up for their little registration thingy? You know what I mean? Why couldn't they get the hint?
They got the hint.
You think?
That's why they sent the letter out playing hardball. And you know, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, you know, he said it's all a game. And I said, this ain't a game anymore.
Not anymore. We got a caller that called in. 612 area code, live on the air. Caller? 612 area code.
Hello?
Hello. There you go.
Hi.
You're live on the air.
Cool.
What do you got to add?
I'm sorry, I missed that. What was that?
What do you have to add?
What do I have to add? I'm sorry, I just got on, so...
Oh, you're calling to listen in?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't really have a call-in line, but you're welcome. I mean, if you want to go ahead and mute the mic and listen in, I'll leave you on the call.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so, Lance, back to what we were talking about. So you think it's going to go the way of Boston?
I do. I mean, the groundwork's laid for it. Just look at just look. It's for them to send out that letter like that. I don't believe that there's any other thing in the playbook other than they want the guns back, that aren't registered. And that's 90% of the guns in that state right now.
And you think that
magazines.
Yeah. You think that they're actually willing to go to the length of kicking doors?
I don't. I personally don't think so. That they have the balls to do it. But I could be wrong. But how do you confiscate something other than going to get it? If you've already told people to turn them in and they're not turning them in, how are you going to get them then? Let's think about this logically for a second.
Right. And Joe said it in the room. He said they go house to house, door to door. So if you've got 100,000 people plus in this state, and it's a pretty small state, right? Connecticut's kind of tiny. It means everybody's kind of hunkered in nice and close to each other. And I imagine that they've got gun clubs and all that good stuff, right? They've got hunting buddies, groups of folks that go out into the woods and bang away with rounds. And so maybe some of these folks live together, like I was saying earlier. When that MRAP turns the corner and comes down the street, say into a cul-de-sac, and they go up to one particular house, things can get really nasty really quickly.
Not going to be able to lock your front door and keep them out.
No, but
ask the people in Boston. Were they able to keep them out?
Well, no, they weren't. But those people weren't coming. Those people weren't fighting for their Second Amendment right either that day. You know what I mean? The Boston were sheeple. These people are proving by way of non-compliance that they're not. The Connecticut folks are saying no. They're not saying, sure, come on in and search for a 19-year-old. This is over guns now. This is over the Second Amendment. This is not.
Well, the Supreme Court ruling down on them not needing a search warrant, is just again setting a precedent for. There was precedent
set in Indiana, just the opposite of that. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I did.
Okay. The state of Indiana, I think it's the whole state, passed a law that said warrantless no-knocks could get a cop killed.
Yep.
And
federal law trumps state law, though.
Well,
I mean, it does. Federal law trumps state law. That's why you look at the marijuana laws. I mean, Washington and Colorado were scared because.
Yeah, but there's also county sheriffs that tell the feds, you come in my county trying to arrest somebody when we've passed a state law that said it's okay, we're going to throw your asses in jail. Mind your business.
Would hope it keeps them out, but.
Well, I think the reason that they passed that law in Indiana was to give these cops a wake-up call. Some of these Johnny-on-the-spot do-gooders, that think that they're going to make the next week's running of cops. I don't even know if that shit's still in the air, but
I don't either.
You know what I mean? That these guys, they're all roided out, thinking that they got an S on their chest, and they're going to go arrest every bad guy on the street, and that happens to be everybody that they see. So I think they're trying to send them a message. You start kicking in doors with no reason, you're liable to get your face rearranged.
That's how the American Revolution started.
Exactly.
So it didn't start over tea.
No, it was not.
It started over a gun grab.
A small gun grab.
70-something people or 30-something people.
Yeah. So where do you want to go now?
How about a moment of clarity? Because today is an anniversary, or tomorrow is an anniversary.
At the top of the show.
It's a very important one. Did you play Moment of Clarity?
Not yet. Yeah, I talked about it. I said we're going to dedicate part of the show to Bill Hicks.
Yeah, it'd be a great place.
Yeah, I guess we can do that. Kind of go off on a tangent. I don't want to get to, I mean, we're going to dedicate shows every now and again to police corruption and stuff like that. And I think,
you could do an unlimited number of shows on that right now.
Yeah. But, and every day that I'm on the air, not every day, but 3 days a week, I hammer home this Wall Street crap to you people. And I'm trying to get you to secure yourselves. So, I don't want to, I don't want you guys to think I'm beating a dead horse. I'm doing it for your own good. And I'm doing it for my own education too, because I learn something new every day. The day that you don't,
the day you die.
Well, it just wasn't worth getting out of bed. And you're probably getting ready to hurt somebody. So, anyway, I actually had my computer give me a little spiral a little bit ago, so I closed out a bunch of stuff. Let's see if I can get over here and do this whole YouTube thing without it giving me fits. Yeah, Bill Hicks. I was talking about him earlier right off the top of the show. Today actually is his birthday, I think. And I'm pretty sure of that. And he's missed. 20 years ago, he died. And he was young, 32.
How'd he die?
There's kind of ifs and whatever. He had cancer. And, but it was very aggressive. It took him very quickly. And that kind of made people, it kind of made people wonder, cause he never really made it big in this country. People didn't give him a whole lot of praise in this country.
The UK, he was much bigger.
Much bigger. He was a real big hit down in Australia too. He was a big hit over in Japan. But yeah, they just didn't give him a whole lot of play here because he spoke the truth and people didn't like hearing it, and I think that, even back then the government had a serious clamp on the Hollywood media, whatever.
Yeah. You got to wonder why George Carlin made it so long,
He was very vague. Toward the end, he wasn't.
Sometimes. I was going to say, I've seen some pretty blatant government.
When he first started, though,
stuff.
when he was doing his Crazy Carlin comedy tour and all that kind of, right. He was just kind of the hippie dope smoking dude. And, Carlin didn't really do a whole lot of drugs. I don't know if you people know that or not, but he was a very clean, salt of the earth kind of human. He grew his own food. He didn't wear shoes a lot. He was, he was kind of a hippie, but he didn't really do a lot of drugs. He didn't like doing drugs. He didn't drink ever. So Carlin was really a clean kind of guy, but he just had that persona, and they were like, nobody pays attention to him. He's a weirdo. He's a hippie. Who cares? Let him talk. He's just rambling. So I think that's how he got by with it. And he was just freaking funny,
He was extremely funny.
It was hard to get mad at him. Even if you didn't agree with what he was saying, he made it so funny. You laughed anyway.
His daughter's a comedian too, trying to carry on, but she's not quite as good.
But Kelly's, she's waving his flag though.
Right.
And she backs, Lee Camp. She's in Camp's corner. She loves that guy. So she thinks that her dad would have too. So
yeah, no doubt.
I'm going to jump over here and grab this moment of clarity. I've been running my mouth and not doing anything. I'm so upset that I didn't find Bill Hicks when he was alive. I really would have loved to listen to him when he was alive. He was only around for just a short while.
I wasn't awake.
No, me neither. Well, I kind of was, but not really. I knew about all I think it's 2.
It took 9/11 to really wake me up. A couple of years after, actually.
To wake me up, yeah. But when I was in the service, I knew about all the politics and bullshit and how you weren't ever going to get ahead unless you were on your knees. You know what I mean? For somebody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's just the way it was, man. You either did what you were told, like a little, shit on, or you wasn't going to go nowhere. If you started left brain thinking, you wasn't happening. It just wasn't going to happen. No. You're making your own rules? You do what I tell you.
Not here.
Yeah.
So that's I remember looking at plenty of E5s going, brother, don't ever get out of the Army because you will get eaten up in the real world.
No shit.
Don't ever get out of the Army.
Bang. You keep right on going.
Yep.
All right. Enough of us, everybody. Here's a little bit of Lee Camp. This is 5 minutes long, so if you got to go pee-pee, whatever you got to do, here we go.
We got no plans at all. Evil man's always transcending. Fighter like sheep, swallow everything. Always simpletons or pretending.
This is your moment of clarity from LeeCamp.net. 20 years ago on this very day, the world lost one of our best philosophers. He was only 32. And he was a man who thought outside the box, doubted all, questioned everything, and forced audiences to think for themselves rather than choke down the pre-programmed mediocrity dumped in their faces on a daily basis, stupidity dressed up as celebrity, intellectual degradation disguised as cultural masturbation. His name was Bill Hicks, and he was a comedian. In 1994, we lost one of the few people who was telling audiences the truth. Here's one of his most famous clips.
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride, and we kill those people. Shut him up. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. But it doesn't matter because it's just a ride. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love. Here's what we can do to change the world right now to a better ride. Take all that money we spend on weapons and defense each year and instead spend it feeding, clothing, and educating the poor of the world, which it would many times over, not one human being excluded, and we can explore space together, both inner and outer, forever in peace.
As you might imagine, America had little use for such a truth teller. Hicks was not nearly as well known in the U.S. as he was in the U.K., and his final appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman wasn't even aired, because this joke was considered too tough for adult viewers to process.
You know, if you're really pro-life, do me a favor. Don't lock arms and block med clinics, okay? If you're so pro-life, do me a favor. Lock arms and block cemeteries, okay? Let's see how committed you are to this idea. She can't come in. She was 98. She was hit by a bus. There's options.
But what wowed me the most when I first came upon his comedy as a teenager was how fucking prescient he was. His criticisms of the U.S. military, the presidency, pop culture, and more didn't just cut straight to the bone, surgically dissecting the topic at hand. They also perfectly predicted future events. I remember listening to his bit about the first Iraq War and the first George Bush and thinking, it's all the same now. Why didn't we fucking listen to this guy? So this is my tribute to a groundbreaking comedian who inspired me and so many others. Here are a few words from his brother Steve Hicks when I interviewed him on the Moment of Clarity podcast about a year ago.
I mean, a lot of people and comedians tell the truth, you know, a lot of them do. But Bill, I think what he added to it, and this is just my opinion, and I'm his proud older brother, so people can take it with a grain of salt. But I think that goodness and that heart also came through, you know, and that's what a lot of the connection is, I believe, is that, you know, they're connecting with his soul and with his heart and not just with his words. And to this day, when we meet people, what we usually hear is people don't say, oh, Bill was so funny. What they say is, Bill Hicks changed my life. And it's just, I mean, that's incredible to hear. It's just transcended normal comedy.
That's been your Moment of Clarity. I'll post the entire half-hour interview with Steve Hicks on my YouTube channel, hopefully tomorrow. I'll also put links to Bill Hicks' full comedy specials in the description. Finally, I'm taping my first new comedy special in 2 years on Sunday, March 16th in New York City at Bowery Electric. The link for the tickets is in the description to this video. Also, you can go to leecamp.net to get tickets. The show is almost sold out. However, we've added a second show on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Hope you can make it. Keep fighting.
And just because we all need to hear a little more Bill Hicks, I got another 10-minute clip. And this is kind of pertinent because this is him speaking about war and freedom. Make sure there ain't a freaking ad. There's a freaking ad. 3, 2, 1.
Bush trying to buy votes towards the end of the election. He goes around, selling weapons to everyone, getting that military-industrial complex vote happening for him. Sold 160 fighter jets to Korea, then 240 tanks to Kuwait, and then goes around making speeches why he should be commander-in-chief because we still live in a dangerous world. Thanks to you fucker. What are you doing? Last week, Kuwaitis had nothing but rocks. Been arming the fucking world, man.
Sounds like what we're doing now.
He armed Iraq. I wondered about that, too. During the Persian Gulf War, those intelligence reports would come out. Iraq, incredible weapons. Incredible weapons. How do you know that? Well... we looked at the receipt. But as soon as that check clears, we're going in. What time's the bank open? 8? We're going in at 9. See, you know what bugged me about the whole election was that they made it, they totally reduced this to this worship of money, and that's what they made the whole election about was taxes, voting with your wallet. You know what I mean? People would say to me, Bill, you vote for Clinton, he's going to raise your taxes. Okay? He'll tell you he's not. But he's going to. A vote for Clinton is a vote for higher taxes, Bill. See, I have news for you, folks. There's other reasons not to vote for George Bush than taxes, okay? I don't know what's happened to us as a world. Maybe 12 years of republicanism has made us think this way. But the reason I didn't vote for George Bush is because George Bush, along with Ronald Reagan, presided over an administration whose policies towards South America included genocide. So, yeah, you see, the reason I didn't vote for him is because he's a mass murderer. I'll pay that extra nickel on a liter of petrol just knowing little brown kids aren't being clubbed to death like baby seals in Honduras so Pepsi can put a plant down there. I'll pay the extra nickel. Huh? That's what bugged me about Bush, man. This whole thing about him being the foreign policy expert. You know what I mean? Yeah, well, when it comes to foreign policy, George Bush is the man I trust. He's got the, experience and look at the coalition against Iraq. Incredible. That huge coalition, that giant coalition that included England. Yeah, that must have been hard. The two predominantly white nations blowing the shit out of this little brown nation. What a hard sell that must have been for John Major, huh? John, George Bush, how are you? Good. We have a disgruntled masses getting really bored here. How about a little fireworks? Well, let's go through the Rolodex. No, Noriega got him. Oh, here's one. Saddam Hussein. That'll look good. Let's go kill some sand niggers. Yeah? Brilliant. We'll be there. Right. We'll be there. Brilliant. People often ask me where I stand politically. It's not that I disagree with Bush's economic policy or his foreign policy. It's that I believed he was a child of Satan here to destroy the planet Earth. A little to the left.
Ding, 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 ding.
And it's weird. Politics does make strange bedfellows, man. You know, when the dust settles to see what side you're on. It's really odd. You know what I mean? I was reading in the paper on Wednesday after the election's over, and there's a quote from Saddam Hussein going, "We have nothing against America. We just want to see George Bush beheaded and his head kicked down the road like a soccer ball." I'm thinking, that's what I want to see. Cool. Me and Hussein, we're like this, man. Saddam.
The point I'm making is about the idea of freedom of expression, and I believe that there's this agenda in mainstream media, and I think it's fairly easy to back this up, to keep people stupid, docile, and apathetic, and therefore the elite who own these corporations and the families that own the corporations, even fewer people, their agenda is to keep us stupid and apathetic. That's why I love public access, and again, thanks for having me on.
That was from one of his last.
We have figured it out. Go back to bed, America. Your government has figured out how it all transpired. Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control again. Here's American Gladiators. Watch this. Shut up. Go back to bed, America. Here's American Gladiators. Here is 56 channels of it. Watch these pituitary retards bang their fucking skulls together and congratulate you on living in the land of freedom. Here you go, America. You are free to do as we tell you. You are free to do as we tell you.
Look at that Clinton. Is there any hope in Clinton? There's no fucking hope in that guy. They're all the same. I'll show you politics in America. Here it is, right here. I think the puppet on the right shares my beliefs. I think the puppet on the left is more to my liking. Hey, wait a minute. There's one guy holding up both puppets. Shut up. Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control.
How dead on the money was that,
and
people?
Get fat and stupid. By the way, keep drinking beer, you fucking morons.
He knew.
Do audiences get upset sometimes by what you say? Yeah. I mean, in America, anyway.
Occasionally, there are some members of the audience who don't find it funny, and therefore they paid money, therefore they get upset. You know, what am I supposed to do when half the people are going, "That was great," and the other half are going, "You're evil"? Is it my job to go into their lives and try and please them? I actually had a woman say, "Why can't you do things that appeal to everyone?" That's impossible. What a burden. No one's done that yet. That will be a challenge. I will please all people. And I also got, someone made a comment at the club going, "We don't come to comedy to think." Well, gee, where do you go to think? I'll meet you there. We don't have to do this here.
Isn't there a sort of halfway between?
But my way is halfway between. I mean, this is a nightclub, and these are adults. And what do you expect? What you're going to see on TV? No, this isn't TV live. And also, it's my show.
Yes.
What am I supposed to do? Change my own outlook and my beliefs to be what to them? I try to talk to the audience the same way I talk to my friends, to take away the artifice of show business and actually have a feeling of a conversation going on. If some of the audience gets offended, then they're saying to me, "I don't want to be your friend." And that's fine.
But what's your background? Where do you come from?
I come from a Southern Baptist household. Does that make sense?
What does your mum and dad think?
They don't like it at all.
They don't?
No.
And it's offensive.
Would you mind them going to see it?
Not at all. No, they come to see me all the time. They don't get it, you know. My dad, "Bill, do you have to use the F word in your act?" Bob Hope doesn't need to use the F word in his act. Yeah, well, Dad, Bob Hope doesn't play the dives I play.
Yeah, right. So you don't so much give them what they want, you give them what you want.
Sure. You know why? Because I honestly believe that we're all the same. And I think to go, "Well, I'll give them what they want," is very condescending. And I don't try to condescend to people, you know? And that's why I treat them like my friends. And I guess that's a shocking way to behave in this world for some people.
It's admirable.
For some people. But I don't sit there and go, "Well, you are all a bunch of idiots, so I will do things I don't believe in to amuse you."
But they want to be entertained, don't they?
Well,
I mean, they want to
when
laugh.
did thinking not become entertaining?
They don't want to think.
They don't want to think. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go out and tickle them individually? We have to express an idea here.
Well, this is why we want to put something on TV that does question these, where one draws the line. What is
there are no
acceptable
lines.
and what...
There are no lines. I say erase all the lines.
Yes, but that's what our program is all about.
Well, it's all very well to say that, but it's not the,
it's
it's
where
very
you
good to say.
can draw the line.
Can I recommend some jugglers that you might like?
Here's what we can do to change the world right now to a better ride. Take all that money we spend on weapons and defense each year and instead spend it feeding, clothing, and educating the poor of the world, which it would many times over, not one human being excluded, and we can explore space together, both inner and outer, forever in peace. Thank you very much. You've been great. I hope you enjoyed it. London, you're fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I hope that doesn't get me in trouble with Jules. Or anybody else for that matter. I don't think that's copyrighted though. I hope not. I think we all need some Bill Hicks from time to time. He was somebody special. Can't believe it's been 20 years, man. It's been 20 years. Almost half my life he's been gone.
That's a
and
long time.
Everything that we're saying now, he was saying back then. Just like Bill Cooper, listening to Bill Cooper's archives. Everything he was saying back then, we're saying now.
Art Bell. I mean, you got plenty of people that have been warning us forever.
It just amazes me, that we've let it go this far, this long, and not done anything.
Yeah, but what can you do? That's all the thing. I talk to friends, and I'm sure other people in the room. Yeah, speak, and it's all great and fine and dandy, but really all anyone can do is self-prepare, just like you've done. Become self-sufficient, trying to get off the grid, with your family, with your mom. That's all any of us can do. So, yeah, getting all worked up about it is fine and dandy, but, I talked to a friend about it, tell them about it, how corrupt their government is, and they're trying to control us. Oh, yeah, I know. You want to come over this weekend and watch the game and have some beer? And then I go, sure. Because what can we do other than, self-prepare, but don't lose focus of, what's really important, family and friends and doing good. The time will come and you'll know.
We can disobey.
We're too apathetic as a nation.
As a nation, yeah. But it all starts with one person. How many did it take in the first revolution, man?
Yeah, 30 or 70 or something like that.
Right.
But, and they had 6 years of oppression by the British.
How long have we been oppressed?
And I was just about to say.
I'm going on 46.
Yeah, and I'm just about to say, how many years have we been under oppression, if you will?
So what do we do, man? Do we let somebody else come over here and do it for us? Do we let somebody else come over here and kick it off? How does this,
again, at this point, I think we've let them get too big, too strong. They know they can control us. It's all about, at this point, making the best quality of life that you can for yourself. Again, my priorities have changed from the big yacht and the big car to a 1,200, 1,500 square foot house on 20 acres on the side of a mountain. That's what I want now.
There you go, man. And and if we all do that, right? If we all exit from the grid, so to speak, what's that? Is that a big enough FU to the government that they'll leave us alone?
Or they'll make you hook up to the grid like that one lady.
Well, they evicted her from her house because she was trying to do it on her own. I think she actually had a hearing, though. She was the they did evict her. They put the eviction notice up, and she had to move out for a little while. She went and got a motel room or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think she's got a hearing. And her lawyer told her, this is the last I heard, this last little clip I heard on that if she can prove to the judge that she is able to maintain a livable household without being hooked to, sewer. Well, I think she's still hooked to sewer.
It was just water. It was just water and electricity. Hooked up to.
Right.
Be able to feed the fluoride.
Right. That she can go ahead and keep her place. So, congratulations to her. I hope she gets it. I hope she gets to do what she wants to do. Live. That's all I want for anybody, man. Live life the way you want to live it. Do what you want to do, as long as you don't hurt somebody else.
That's what I was about to say. I mean,
you can't run around willy-nilly with an axe, hacking at people and shit just because you feel like doing it that day. There's got to be rules, but I don't want any rulers. I don't need anybody telling me how to live my life. I can do it pretty good on my own. And I'm pretty sure that all these shitheads up on Capitol Hill don't want anybody telling them how to live theirs, right? Because they don't follow the rules that they lay out for us. So where do they get off? Where do you guys get off? For one,
I've always said, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I've always said it's okay if you can't help somebody, but just don't hurt them. Live your life. Just don't hurt anybody.
I think we could do it on our own. You know what I mean? People don't think that anarchy can work. They think that there's always got to be a hierarchy. There's always got to be somebody to dole out authority. I don't see that. If everybody had compassion and lived in love and not fear, we could do it. Don't be scared to ask for help. Don't be scared to lend a hand. We've become so lazy, push button, want everything instant. You know what your microwave does to your body when you're standing there waiting for it to warm your coffee? Do you know that your Wi-Fi router does the exact same thing that your microwave does, but it doesn't have a big shield around it?
I think microwaves were banned in Russia back in the 70s or 80s because they know how bad it is.
Yep. It's a magnetron, for Christ's sake. Mm-hmm. What else did Russia ban? Oh yeah, the US dollar. Anywhere inside of Moscow, you can't use it. They don't even want to see them because they know they're fake.
Not that their money's any more.
Hey, they got a lot
their paper money worth anymore.
Right. But they have Kalashnikovs.
Yeah, they do.
So what do we do for the last 25 minutes of the show, man? Where do we go from here? We can keep going down this rabbit hole, talking about how fake everything is in this country now. Even most of the people. Is that what we do for the next 25 minutes? Do we just roll on? Do you have anything pertinent on your plate right now?
No. There's just so much from so many different angles running around. It's hard to think straight right now. Nowadays, if you will. I mean, you've got, I'll tell you a good story that I'd like you to delve into that maybe not everybody's heard is the New Mexico, those suits? We heard it on the Potter blog.
Oh, my God.
We might as well break into environmental crap for the last part of this show because and this is what I don't see. We're hearing about spills in the Mississippi, spills in the Gulf spills in West Virginia, fracking, sinkholes coming, nuclear, which is what we're getting ready to talk about.
Fukushima.
Is it my imagination, or are we really getting out of hand with
destroying the planet?
Yeah, I mean, really hardcore trying to pollute the planet as much as we can. At least in the last 6 months, it sure seems like there's been a spike in it.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I could play both of these videos back to back. I don't think we played the other one about the 110,000 becquerels, or 110 million, excuse me.
Right. And that's a good one in case, any of the listeners
don't understand
been following
exactly
that
what
one. Yeah.
Plutonium is one of the most deadly things on the planet. It is the deadliest thing on the planet, I think. And if what memory serves, if 1 pound of plutonium were aerosolized and made it around this planet, it would kill everyone. 1 pound would be enough to kill everyone. So I'm going to play these back to back here. This is from the Potter blog, Pissing on the Roses blog. You guys have heard me talk about him before. He's somebody to subscribe to.
He's always up on viruses, anything with airborne illnesses, way before anybody else.
He's got some feelers out, and he gets information quicker than anybody I've ever seen. So
here
we go. This was put out 3 days ago when the whip started happening. Oh shit, another ad, man. 3, 2, 1.
Deadly warning from the Potter blog site, February 23rd, 2014. Based on insider information at the WIP plant from a reliable source has been proven to be reliable. We've calculated the initial plutonium cloud size that left the plant in the first 30 seconds of exposure to be on the order of 110 million becquerels. We also received some new information from this person last night of readings taken post-HEPA filter out of the exhaust coming at the plant. Based on those numbers, we calculate the current releases of plutonium and americium to be on the order of 6,667 becquerels per minute. Now, one thing to be absolutely clear about here is that these organizations who give this data out don't give it in full context. We prefer to call one of these organizations the Carlsbad Environmental Radioactive Banana and Plutonium Monitoring Research Center. They don't like to give out raw data in full context because they want to control the narrative of what's going on. We use the data that they put out, and we look at the information that they filed with the EPA in their permitting process, basically looking at their cubic flow rates of air and everything else they've got going on to come up with the values that they've released. Now, one very important thing to note, and some of these values will be released, I believe, tomorrow or day after tomorrow by these organizations, DOE and CERMIC. Let's pull it up here. Let's look at the photos. When they release their numbers, we have a photo here of this is Station A. You notice this huge exhaust vent here. This is the vent where all the exhaust gases from the mine go. Here's Station A monitoring. This is where they monitor the radioactivity in the exhaust vent prior to HEPA filtering. Now pay close attention here to this filter that they use. This is the actual measurement apparatus. Now look at the size of these air cables coming in. I think this is 1/2-inch hose. Now, the filter is actually inside of here, and we'll show you that in a minute. Now, this is the amount of air that they're actually measuring. Now compare that to the amount of air here that is leaving in this huge tunnel that you can walk through. All right, so here's an individual who's just taken apart the air filtering mechanism. Right in here is the filter. Right here he's putting in a new filter. So when they're doing the air filter measurements of the exhaust, that's what they're using. And then he's reinstalling it. And we have a link to this on our webpage so you can see this gallery. So, as you can see, they're going to give out numbers probably either tomorrow or Tuesday. And what they're going to tell you is that prior to filtering, that they're releasing, that they're detecting on the order of hundreds of disintegrations per minute of plutonium and americium. And after HEPA filtering, they're detecting approximately 20 disintegrations per minute. Well, so when you factor that up to what that site is capable of exhausting out of that huge vent.
It's probably a 10-foot galvanized pipe.
Out of this vent. You calculate what can come out of this thing. They have the capability, if they run all 3 fans, of pushing out 20,000 cubic feet per minute. So basically we walked through, did all the calculations. We were conservative in terms of protecting human life. So these are the risk mitigation numbers we use. So, if we're wrong, well, then you've only been exposed to a couple of bananas. And if we're wrong, it's because these organizations aren't releasing the raw data because they want to control the narrative. If we're right, then them turning a phrase of bananas is bananas. So we went through here and we did all these calculations. And again, the cloud that was released in the first 30 seconds, and they said the HEPA filtering was only off for a very short time period. When we did that calculation, we came out and figured that cloud size was 6.6 billion disintegrations per minute. Now, disintegration is when the nucleus of the atom basically changes, releases an alpha particle. Most people, I think, are more comfortable with understanding that in becquerel. A becquerel is a disintegration per second. They usually quote here disintegrations per minute. So this initial cloud, one other thing to mention here, that this initial cloud of 110 million becquerels, that was at a half a mile away from the plant, where the original detection was made, where we were first clued onto, I think about 2 or 3 days before everybody else was, at least media-wise, being published. So the cloud was probably actually even larger at the plant itself. This is just what had diffused. It had blown northwest about 1.5 miles. That cloud at that monitoring station, roughly 110 million becquerels. What's being released on an ongoing basis every minute, our conservative estimate from a public safety perspective is 6,667 becquerels per minute is being released. Other things to note is that there are actually 4 ventilation circuits going on underground. We don't know which circuits they're using. They could be, these numbers could reflect, the current numbers could reflect exhaust from the least affected circuit. They may have the most affected circuit get closed off. We don't know. So these values we present are the minimum values from a risk mitigation perspective that we believe that a wise person would use to try to protect health, safety, life, and limb. Now, what you might not know if you don't follow our site is that these organizations here, the Carlsbad Radioactive Banana and Plutonium Monitoring Research Center, is being funded by the DOE to provide whole body scanning of citizens who live within 100 miles of this plant. And we cover that in some detail too. Now, just to note, they're offering 100% free whole body and lung scanning. The citizens around Fukushima, they only got offered a 50% discount on their scanning. So take that what it's worth in the actual scale of this disaster. That's why we mark this thing a deadly warning.
That's the one he released 3 days ago, calling it a deadly warning. And this is the one that he released today. This has some very unnerving information in it.
Quite so.
Pay attention, folks.
Welcome to the Potter Blog site, February 26, 2014. Be prepared to evacuate. An Albuquerque Air Force Base has put out a sole source order for 1,200 particulate radiation suits. They specify particulate. Let me show you the order itself. Here it says, non-ventilated protective clothing shall protect the wearer against particulate radioactive contamination. This is the order on FezBizOps. And you can see the order went out on February 20th, 2014. That is 6 days after the DOE WIP plant in just right outside Carlsbad, New Mexico, released a plutonium cloud that we calculate was 300 million becquerels in size, comprising approximately 10,000 cubic feet of contaminated air, cubic meters of contaminated air. They're released during a 30-second period. There are still ongoing releases. We estimate roughly nearly 7,000 becquerels per minute, but even though that's a high amount, it's being released in what we believe is a large amount of air. So it's dispersed, but it's still a very large amount. Now, people don't want to believe this stuff because of what's called normalcy bias, because they can't imagine bad things happening. If we lived within 100 miles of this plant, we'd already be out of there. Obviously, Air Force and other places are preparing. There's even an order out by the CDC looking for information on mechanical ventilators, specifically mentioning radiation releases and pandemic influenza. They're wanting 5,000 ventilators per company, non-surge. We go into that in much more detail in another post. We'll have a link to that on our blog site. It's also called Bug Out Alert. But can't underemphasize this or overemphasize it, whatever you want to call it. It's late at night. But this is important. It's need to have the ability to flee at a moment's notice. That means having P100 face masks at the ready, being able to hop in your car, whatever it takes, and having enough comfort supplies out available and enough gas available to get you upwind to somewhere safe. Do not expect them to let you know that it's coming. They took days. In the early days of this, they said there was no releases. We broke the news early on that there was. Finally, news media is starting 9-10 days later, starting to give the news of what's happening. But there is a continued risk of explosion here from radiolysis, which is radiation breaking down other chemicals inside the plant from hazardous waste, water, all sorts of different stuff, and making explosive gases. If you remember Fukushima, there was an initial radiation accident, which was very large. They tried to save the plant so that they could probably attempt to start it up again in the future. Then the plant blew up, giving us 3 meltdowns, whatever else that happened there. The WIP site seems to be taking the same task. They're trying to save the facility for future use. Preventing releases and stopping further danger is not job one. This place could go again, and in a much worse fashion. Be prepared.
This guy, I don't think, is an alarmist. I don't think he's a fearmonger. I don't think he puts out fear porn. I think this man is genuinely concerned about what's happening at the WIP plant, and the information that he is getting scares him to death. And he's trying to let everybody else know how bad it is. So, take it for what it's worth. I listen to the man. I'm glad I'm nowhere near that WIP plant. Now, like I said before we started playing his videos, this is plutonium that we're talking about. It's the most deadly substance on the planet. if you know anybody that's anywhere close to this, give them a heads up. I'm pretty sure the local media is covering it pretty heavily, but like you said, it's not really being played out on the MSM.
Isn't it a storage dump?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Waste.
And that's just one, compartment, and there's like 8 compartments and 6 of them are full. They were on the 7th one right now.
Right.
So there's
these
a
are
lot
huge
of crap
tunnels.
down
Yeah,
there.
this is an old salt mine, or I don't even know if it's an old salt mine. I know that they dug it out of a huge salt cavern, and what they're thinking happened is that the roof collapsed in one of the caverns that they're filling. That's not already full, because when they're full, they cap them off and then they let the roof collapse in on it. So that's to try to seal it up. But so a bunch of these barrels are busted open. Now look, I watched a documentary about WIP earlier today that was an hour long, and it was done back in the 80s. You can find it on YouTube. If I got a minute after the show, I'll try to dig it up and drop it in the room for everybody. They were talking about this back then. They were talking about what kind of waste is being brought in. And this is, I can't remember the term they used. Transuranic, I think is what they called it. Transuranic waste, which contains plutonium. But there's all kinds of different stuff. It's not just rods of fuel. It's suits that people were wearing at spills. It's desks from old plants that may have been irradiated. It's whatever, everything, combustible materials. Actually, over 40% of the material that goes into this WIP plant is combustible material. Shit that they're packing in these barrels and burying in the ground. So if what Potterblog says, that there's some kind of ignition, some kind of fire, holy shit, man. And another thing they were talking about with this WIP plant back in the 80s when they were trying to get it stopped, and everybody in New Mexico was up in arms about it. There's water underneath this place. Now, if you know anything about salt and water, those things don't combine very well. And there's brine leakage into these caverns, and the government knows about it, and they covered it up. They ran fans in there for years and years and years trying to dry this thing out, because all these people kept coming in there and investigating and looking and seeing. When the water comes up through there and creates brine in these caverns, these containers are steel. What happens when salt water hits steel? What happens when regular water hits steel over a certain amount of time? They rust. They rust holes through them. One of the reasons that they gave all these people in New Mexico for this plant to be open there, one of the things that they said was a must when they were looking for salt caverns to use, was that it had to be dry. It had to be dry salt. Couldn't be wet. But they had so much money into these holes in the ground, they weren't going to let it go away. They just dried it out with fans until everybody quit bitching. They paid off whoever they had to pay off. The people that were still out protesting, they eventually got tired of it and went away. And the government kept right on going. This waste that goes in there comes from all over the freaking country. There's a highway 40 just a little ways away from me, and they truck that shit down that highway. It comes from South Carolina, straight by you, Lance.
Mm-hmm.
Idaho, Colorado. It's going to be a huge mess, man.
Yeah, that's the scary part, is that they got to transport it there in a truck.
Mm-hmm. in these big casks that are supposed to be like bomb-proof, right? That's just for transporting. And when they get there, they take it out of that cask. They ain't going to waste that. They're going to use that over again. They take it out of those 55-gallon drums. Yeah, they just pull it out. The 55-gallon drums, they just pull it out of those casks and roll them down a plank and drop them in a hole. And when it's full, they seal it up. And then they let it cave in on itself. And evidently fill with water. And rust away and turn into a huge freaking nuclear mess.
Yeah, and I hadn't heard that. I didn't watch that. I don't know that you dropped me that link, or if you did, I didn't see it. But
for the hour long,
I've become more and more.
I'll drop that to you.
I've become more and more amazed every day when I learn older stuff about how unethical, really, I mean, that's putting it nicely, that the government, you know, not just ours, probably all over the world, but truly that corrupt.
It's amazing that we let it get this far, that we bought their bullshit for this long.
Well, American Gladiator was on.
And football and NASCAR. Processed food, eating away at your brain cells, drinking Diet Coke, drinking out of aluminum cans. That's one thing that just blew me away, man. Aluminum cans. That was one of the biggest things. Everybody was like, oh, yay, aluminum cans. All right. Then we can recycle them. Yay. Yeah. Look what it's doing. Look what it's doing to us. Look what that aluminum's doing to us. Now I mean, you know, everybody's starting to go to Nalgene bottles and shit. So they're spraying it over our heads in nanoparticulate form so that we all get our dose of it every day. You're going to take that aluminum.
They launched from Wallops Island at one time.
Yeah, whether you
right here in Virginia.
Lithium.
Oh, that's right.
It was lithium. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Which is just as good for you, I'm sure.
Oh, right. Yes. So we got like a minute left. I'm going to run into this last story that you dropped me real quick. This is about the coal ash dump in North Carolina. 35 million gallons of coal ash and arsenic contaminated water spilled into North Carolina's Dan River due to a ruptured pipe at Duke Energy. Huge corporation. 35 million gallons. Unbelievable, man. Happened on February 2nd. We're just now finding out about it.
They waited 24 hours to even report it to the
local authorities. Yeah.
Authorities.
So here you go, North Carolina. I think you actually got a taste of that West Virginia shit too, because of the way the river flows.
This one's rolling through Virginia too.
Yeah. Unbelievable, man. Peace and love, everybody. Try to pass some around. It was kind of a goofy show tonight, but you know how it goes. We got to keep you up to speed. We'll see you on Friday. Turtleville's next. Anti-Media Radio after that. See ya. Thanks, Lance.